everyone, and welcome on back to the channel. Today we are going to be exploring yet another elite specialization, and this time we are taking a look at the Deadeye, the Thief. I have not really made a video on the Deadeye in some time, and in this recent patch there were a couple changes, not many, literally just two, but they are quite impactful for the way the Deadeye is played, and we're going to be getting into all of that. I'll even probably talk about some ideas and recommendations that I've felt while playing the Deadeye in recent times, and just enjoy the experience of sniping things from afar. So as always, let's first talk about our gear. I'm doing like full assassins. I'm going that crit chance. I'm also taking the rune of the Deadeye, power, ferocity, and then also gaining might whenever I use a cantrip, and you might see that I have 3 cantrips. And this is Berserker. As for my rifle, I'm running Berserker with superior sigil of accuracy and force, increased crit chance and damage. Very standard, very DPS build. Now for the specs, I'm running with Trickery, Deadly Arts, and Deadeye. Thrill of the Crime, Trickster, and also Sleight of Hand, as I am using 2 trick abilities additionally, so reduce recharge and remove conditions if I have any. In Deadly Arts, I'm taking Mug, Even the Odds, and Executioner. Apply vulnerability when you steal, gain might when you hit with a stealth attack, and we'll be using many stealth attacks with Death's Judgment. And of course, the Deadeye. For open world, if you're going from mob to mob, I like to use collateral damage, but if you happen to be in a group environment and maybe you are assisting with extra boons on top of your damage, you can of course take fire for effect and one in the chamber so that you can gain increased might and fury sharing. But for the sake of open world, this is what I typically run with. Collateral damage, silent scope, gain precision, gain additional precision while wielding a rifle, and when you enter, or when you dodge, you enter stealth. And finally, I'm taking be quick or be killed, gain quickness when marking a foe. Your power and precision are increased while under this effect of quickness. Very good. You also get a little extra quickness on haste. If you're in a group setting, you might also get procs of quickness on various builds, because more builds are sharing out quickness now. So it's all very good. But once again, if you're maybe wanting to share out a little bit more boons for the group, fire for effect is always nice. And I've also been, playing around with Maleficent 7. I like to play around with all 3 of these Grandmasters. They're nice fun. And then as for my utility skills, I'm taking Malicious Restoration, Shadow Gust for extra knockback if anyone gets close, but also this will apply stealth, Haste for a little self buff with quickness and fury, and Roll for initiative if I ever need to quickly get out of something or just gain some more initiative. And for my elite skill, I'm taking Shadow Meld. This elite is so good. It is so flavorful. It might not look like it's doing much, but it is extremely impactful for the Thief, as it will remove revealed, which is so important. I think it's one of the only skills that can remove revealed, and it will stealth you. So basically it's a guaranteed stealth, so long as you don't randomly proc an area of effect attack if you try to go into this. It has 2 charges, so you can get 2 free stealths off, 2 free guaranteed stealths off that I'm currently running with, and we're gonna go down and fight some Ford. Oh my god, I just about to break my legs real quick. So the Deadeye, its changes include being able to walk while you're now in kneeling. So you get access to all of your more powerful rifle skills, and you're able to kind of walk around. Now initially, and kind of still, I'm like, this isn't the most needed thing. I feel like the damage, increasing its damage probably would have been a bit better, because you are able to very quickly pop in and out of your kneel very quickly. Of course it will help because you won't necessarily need to get out of it, because you might be able to walk out of some area effects. So that was my initial impression, but as I've been playing it, it does feel very nice. It does feel very nice if you're in a group situation and you're maybe fighting a boss and some area effect abilities are landing near you. You might be able to walk out of it. So it's kind of, in a way it appears subtle, but I think it will have large effects for your gameplay with the Deadeye. So I've kind of grown to like it. I mean, I never didn't like it. I was just more so like, that was kind of unnecessary. Another change, which was not actually noted, is a change to your sniper's cover. This creates a wall, but if you stand in it, you're able to teleport forward. And you also gain stealth, which is very interesting. Now, I don't know if I love this change. I kind of preferred the old sniper's cover, as when you were in your kneeling and you weren't able to move, sniper's cover had a very short range, so you were able to, I thought I was walking. When you're in sniper's cover, now that you're able to walk, they increase the range to 600, which I'm really not a fan of. I think it should kind of stick close to you regardless, as you still have very limited movement. It's like sometimes with action camera, I know not everyone plays an action camera, but if I'm targeting an enemy and I'm trying to like maybe pop down the cover, it's a bit weird. And sometimes I have been in situations where I accidentally place it so far, but I'm trying to use it to actually teleport somewhere. So I'm just like, and you're like, oh no, I'm so far away, let me dodge. Okay. And then you're like, oh shit, I went too far. Let me do that. So it's a little finicky. It's something to maybe get used to, but I don't know if I'm really in agreement with this. Honestly, what I would maybe prefer, and I don't know if it would be too strong, is to kind of just bake sniper's cover and death's advance into the 4th skill. So, you know, basically having a short blink on your kit if you want to. So you're wherever this spawns is where you teleport to. Maybe the range should be reduced to like 450 so you can have these short incremental blinks. So you can teleport there and create cover for yourself. So you have that extra defense. Maybe the initiative would have to be bumped up to 5 cost or 6. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Maybe I have to play around with it more, but I have noticed that my gameplay can be a little clunky with it. But it is nice to have a forward teleport. It's just a little too conditional for me. Like, those are gonna go over here. Let's lock them down, use our ability. Let me dodge roll and just get a Death's Judgment off. Another awesome change with Death's Judgment is that Death's Judgment will actually pierce through enemies that are not your marked target. So you'll have a bit more of a guaranteed experience when hitting your marked foe. Okay, let's dodge through that. Let's use Shadow Meld. Ugh. And even being able to walk, I'm not able to actually get out of that. So that would be an area, a case scenario where you are still getting more benefit if you get out of your kneel. But having the walk is really, really nice. Just fight through the flame wall because our projectiles pierce. You do so much damage with the rifle. But with Deadeye, you're not really providing the key boon of quickness. You're able to have self-quickness when you mark a target. And I've always enjoyed the idea of maybe having a quickness sharing build on Deadeye or Daredevil. I think Thief could probably use some quickness on one of its elite specializations to share for the group so that you have a little bit more reason and more use out of some of these elite specializations that might not receive as much play, particularly Deadeye. And then Spectre does receive play in PvE scenarios because it's able to bring that alacrity, which is extremely useful. The power of those key boons. You know, taking a class that saw little play in PvE and then just propelling it to the levels of, you're like, oh, you're really good. All right, let's try to get this Death's Judgment. See, it pierced and then it hit the Jacaranda. So you're able to get a lot more use out of it. Let's mark a target. We've got quickness on ourselves, so we're getting more damage. Let's use that. See, trying to just also use your mark ability to get into your stealth to then use Death's Judgment, even in open world. The power creep is strong. The power creep is strong. But Deadeye has always been a very strong class in open world. And having this extra mobility with kneeling is just going to feel really nice. Well, they really got on me very quickly. We're going to roll for initiative to get out of that. I'm going to start moving around here a little bit. Ooh, I got hit by both of those. We're going to dodge. No, you're behind a pillar. How mean. Okay, I'm going to use this to get away. Oh my gosh. Why'd you be so mean like that? That's not my marked target. Ooh. Oh wait, it is my marked target. We're gonna get out of that. Death's Retreat. We're gonna immobilize them, use this, killed, and then we are on to this next War Mage. So yeah, it's really fun being able to go between targets, and with Deadeye, it is a little bit more restrictive in your movement, of course, but you still have a few options at your disposal to bounce around the area, as you might have just seen. I was a little focused, I wasn't talking too much, but even when you're outside of your kneel, you don't need to play a kneel. It's just you gain a lot of good attacks and they're a bit stronger, and you get increased range, which I'm so happy that they decided to continue with the increased range on the Deadeye. That was a wild change and totally unnecessary. So I'm really happy that they kept its 1500 range while you are kneeled. Now as for PvE, considering all of your, considering all of your restraints with your mobility and your run and walk speed, I wonder if Deadeye could receive a little bit more damage in its rifle kit and also on Death's Judgment. I do know that Core Dagger has been buffed up quite a bit, and I heard it's hitting quite well at the moment. Okay, let's get that reveal off. Nice 14k crit. You get 14k crits when you build up your Malice, and it takes you some more time to build up that Malice, but you also get like 14, 18, 20k crits on something like a Dragon Hunter True Shot. So if anything was to be buffed up, I think Death's Judgment could receive a little bit more damage, especially when you get to the higher levels of Malice, because it can take you some time in open world at least, and it can take you some time it's a little less stressful depending on the boss encounter that you're playing. Some bosses are just that one boss, and that's all you really have to worry about. But when you are dealing with ads, sometimes you have to shift your focus, and when you're attacking a target that isn't marked, you're not building up that Malice. I have noticed that it is a little bit difficult to know when you are actually in your kneeling mode. So I wonder if the icons could be changed up a little bit, the color. Maybe you have a different smoke effect around your UI. They do that sometimes with like Mirage Cloak, the Revenant. Depending on the mode that you're in, your UI will kind of have a different visual effect. Maybe smoke or some red blotches and maybe like a reticle right here to indicate that you are kneeling currently, because now that you don't have that differentiation where it was very clear, you're like, oh, I cannot move, so I'm in my kneel. I can move, so I'm out of it. Sometimes it's like, am I crippled? Am I chilled? I think that could maybe be a little bit touched up, just a little bit, to make it as clear as possible when you're in these open world scenarios, or even when you're in a PvE or PvP scenario and you're having to react to so many things. I am really enjoying this updated Deadeye. I still think there could be a couple tweaks and changes and maybe some buffs to certain elements of the class, but overall, it's a lot of fun to play in open world, and I feel brave enough that I could probably take this into a couple strike missions and maybe even a raid, just to, like, you know, mess around with it. You have some boon sharing applications, but I think quickness would also be a really good boon to have, so that you are able to have maybe a little bit better of a chance of getting into a group if you wanted to. But other than that, how are you all enjoying Deadeye? Have you played Deadeye? Are you a Deadeye main? Have you not played it in some time, but maybe these changes look a bit more interesting to you to convince you to come back and play it? If you'd like to support the channel, head on over to Patreon and get early access to all of my videos. And if you would like to support me over on Twitch, I stream there every day. We have a great time. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye, everyone.